This morning, let's get going on with the big story, of course, is the Medical Freedom Act that was vetoed by the governor on Saturday. A couple of new bills were presented, one in the Senate, one in the House. And over in the Senate, Senator Dan Foreman presented the bill that would address the governor's concerns. And then in the House, there was another bill that addressed the governor's concerns, but they were different. And we explained yesterday the difference between the two. So today in the Senate, there was a little bit of a back and forth, and I won't bury the lead here. The Senate bill, I believe it was sent to the amending order, to the 14th order, so they could address this daycare issue, because daycares were made an exclusion in this particular piece of legislation. And that got some people worried about whether or not daycares would be, parents and children going to daycares would be held to a different standard than the rest of us. So here's on that. Here's some banter, some discussion between Senator Brandon Shippey and Senator Dan Foreman, the bill sponsor.
Senator Foreman, so it's my understanding that you will be striking in 73502 here in this new Senate bill 1210, that you will be striking the portion where it says except for any daycare center, daycare facility, family daycare home, or group daycare facility as defined in this section. My understanding is you're hoping to strike that in the 14th order of business.
Senator Foreman.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Shippey, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick follow-up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Foreman, I guess maybe if you could just shed a little light, maybe if you have any information of maybe why that why it felt important to put that in the first place, and then I guess, if you can maybe shed a little light on that, and then why it's now being stricken, because I know I received a lot of concern about it from a lot of different folks out here in Idaho. Maybe if you could just shed a little light on that.
Senator Foreman.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Shippey, I didn't opt to put that verbiage in. That was requested by the governor's staff. We worked with his chief of staff on it. I can't directly speak to why they wanted it in there. The only recollection I have with respect to that question is they felt that daycares were adequately covered under other sections of Idaho code, which is true. Currently they are. There was some talk about a court case that came up. They didn't say that their request to have that verbiage in the bill was driven by the court case. I can't speak to that. I was comfortable with it for a while because daycare families are covered under existing Idaho code. If you wish as a parent to opt your child out of vaccines, you simply have to state that in a letter and present it, and your kids are opted out. And that's exactly the same procedure that our public schools use. I will say, contrary to a lot of the negative comments that people are hearing, the governor's office was very open, very cordial, and invited me to come and work with them, and I appreciate that. That's the way government's supposed to work. And it resulted in a good agreement, as per this bill with its changes, that both sides are happy with. And I know a lot of folks got upset. They seemed to feel that, the bill was falling apart, but I guess if I might, Mr. Chairman, just a word of advice. The system sometimes is a little slow, but it's a beautiful system, and it works as long as all parties are willing to cooperate and work in good faith. And that's exactly what happened here. So kudos to the system, kudos to the governor's office for working with me on this. I appreciate it. I think we have a good bill.
Okay, I love Dan Foreman. Good guy. Good guy. Dan Foreman is a good senator there. Protecting the system. This is the system we have to deal with. This is our republic, right? This is the way it moves. It should move slowly, and there should be civil discourse and debate, and and that's good. So the people spoke, and everybody got riled up and said, "Hey, what's going on here with this bill?" One of those folks was a citizen out there. You'll probably recognize her. Definitely a forefront in this arena, the Health Freedom Idaho, and she spoke today, and this is her, Leslie Manukian. Let's bring her on.
I'm here from District 26 in my individual capacity. However, I also represent a nationally known nonprofit, Health Freedom Defense Fund. We stand to protect all human beings' rights to medical freedom. And this bill, although the proposals are very positive to strike the daycare portion, the public has not had the opportunity to see this bill. And I think that it should be actually opposed because it has not been publicly displayed for anyone to review. So we can't see what all has been inserted there. Furthermore, I want to say that I do not believe that there has been good faith in the way that this has been conducted. I actually
Ms. Manukian, I'd appreciate if you wouldn't question motives of those who have brought the legislation. Just speak to the legislation if you would.
Okay, well, someone else made the claim that it was good faith, but the governor was very specific in his veto that his objection was that there was gray area around the ability of schools to exclude sick children. The bill does not even touch that. It never touched that. We actually drafted new language to assure the governor that that was not a problem, and then he changed his requests. I do not believe that's good faith. You may, I don't. And I think furthermore that this should have been posted so that everybody could review it and see it, which has not been done. And it is not acceptable ever to sacrifice our children in service to the freedom of adults. This bill needs to be either complete, that daycare portion needs to be removed without a doubt, but we also need to be able to see what else has been added so that we can actually speak intelligently and from a place of education rather than speculation. So at this point, I support removing of the daycare portion. I, however, am very concerned that there have been additions which may not be consistent with the original intention of the bill, and that should be reviewed before it proceeds. Thank you.
There we go. So it's going to the 14th order. It will get addressed, and that's good news there. So, but very, very, very good comments there. That's the concern that most people have, and we gotta have those. We gotta have people stepping up for this. So, very good, very good. All right. Over in the House, however, is the other version of the bill that didn't even talk about daycares. It just talked about that, what was it, Section 33512. This is House Bill 472. And Representative I think Representative Josh Tanner presented the RS once it got printed, and then Representative Rob Beiswinger presented the bill today officially for the hearing.
Bill 472, you heard from Representative Tanner yesterday on the same bill. It's pretty simple. It's the Idaho's Medical Freedom Act. It sailed through the House before. It got to the governor's desk, got a veto on it. There's some objection the governor raised to it. He put it in a letter, and so we have a letter here. He was worried that the bill removed the parents' ability to remove sick kids from schools. Well, it wasn't correct, and so I don't know, what happened there, but so we came back, redrafted the bill, and on page 3, you'll find on line 7 through 11 there, we referenced the school code that does give them permission to send home a sick kid. This bill just says you can't force someone to take, a medication or a vaccine or an injection or any kind of medical intervention as a condition coming back. You're sick, you got measles, you got the fever, you got lice, whatever, you feel free to send them home. That's an existing state law. This bill does nothing to change that. And we can talk about the bill and some of its effects, but I think we're all kind of familiar with the issue, and I would urge your yes vote on it.
Okay, good. Now, of course, this being the House State Affairs Committee, Representative Stephanie Mickelson just can't seem to quite understand exactly what's going on. Here's her exchange with Representative Beiswinger.
Representative Mickelson.
Representative Beiswinger, Mr. Chairman, can you tell me what you think shall not refuse means?
Representative Beiswinger, where are we at? Representative Mickelson, could you help us for the edification of
I'm
the
on
committee?
page 2, line 29 or 30 and 31.
Okay.
29, 31. Well, I mean, shall not refuse. You shouldn't turn them away. You shouldn't. I could pull up my dictionary or a thesaurus, I guess, but no. I mean, the point is what that paragraph's saying is that you can't require my medical intervention. You can't tell someone you can't come to my store unless you get a flu shot or this or that.
Okay.
Follow up?
Can you show me where in the bill, because I haven't found it, we talk about medical freedom, but we don't talk about individual responsibility here. So can you show me where in the bill, if somebody refuses medical intervention and causes a problem, where they take responsibility?
Representative Beiswinger.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know that issue is specific. It's not really addressed in this bill.
Okay.
Is that a law somewhere? Like if you like let me just game theory this out here. If you, let's say you walk into a party and maybe you don't even have symptoms yet, but you're contagious, right? Like you're developing something, you're a carrier. Or maybe you do, maybe you sneeze and then like somebody else gets sick because you sneezed and they go, it was Matt who got me sick. Like, can I be sued because I got you sick out in a public place? Or like, is that what she's asking about? Like, are we going to criminalize somebody who's giving you like the flu? Is that what she's asking for? I don't understand this woman. I don't understand this person. I don't understand this being that walks among us who can't wrap her head around this. It is incredible, but she continues to just give us gems. Here's another clip.
Mr. Chairman and committee, I said yesterday I could live with it if it said vaccinations, but what the problem I have is we have a lot of, in this bill, what I see is a lot of people requesting their personal medical freedom, but no personal responsibility back on the other end. I also see that, we have been a state as Republicans and as a state that we believe in capitalism and free markets and so forth. And I feel like that this bill specifically goes, my freedoms are greater than anyone else's. And so I can come in your business. I can cause as much problems as I want because it said shall not refuse. And then the business owner or other people will get to bear the responsibility of one person demanding that they get their freedoms in a very specific way. For that reason, I will be a no on this bill.
She should be on Shark Tank. For those reasons, I'm out.